In today's episode of the Changing Lives podcast, we talk with married couple and emergency services power duo, Luke and Sybilla Ingwersen.
Yeah, for 24 years now, Luke has served as a professional lifeguard for the city of Gold Coast. And for 6 years, Sybilla has been a firefighter.
Now, Luke found his home on the sunny beaches of the Gold Coast after he lifeguarded in the USA, in the UK, and in Japan. And the satisfaction that he gained from doing a job he absolutely loved really inspired Sybilla to pursue a career as a Firey with the Queensland Fire Emergency Service.
Yeah, now they both share a love for their respective jobs, as well as self-confessed obsession with all things fitness. And so they are avid water folk, in the water a lot, swimming and sports in general.
In fact, they are both record breakers, Tim, in the pool, and Sybilla in particular was part of the 2000 Australian Olympic swim team.
Yeah, and I think in this really fun and inspiring interview, we're going to get into the physical, the mental, and as well as the often underrated soft skills required to be an emergency service responder.
Yeah, their journey as individuals and also as a couple is such a unique perspective on the passion and dedication required in the work of emergency care.
Yeah, as we sat chatting with them, I don't know about you, but I could listen to them for hours on end. They've got quite an extensive career, spanning almost a quarter of a century for Luke, and working in probably one of the busiest beaches in Australia. It was just enthralling, really, listening to them as they shared.
One thing that really hit me was both of their commitment to be the best that they can be, both physically and mentally, so that they can be the difference in the moments that count for the community. I know I've myself and for my family feel safer on the beaches in the Gold Coast, but it was just great to hear their passion.
Yeah, totally. I mean, as they shared, you really understand that it's certainly a career, and for anybody that's looking for a career in emergency care services, it's really a career which you rarely do get the chance to fully switch off, and their passion and dedication, and ultimately really their love for what they do and serving the community really comes through, and I think you're going to find this really helpful and insightful.
Yeah, let's get into the interview.
So I started lifeguarding, and now 24 years later, I'm still doing it. Yeah.
Wow, man, to have parents that would kind of push you to do what you're passionate about and what you love. I mean, that must have been a gift.
I'm so grateful that they opened my eyes to doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So, and that's how Sybilla ended up getting into the fire service.
Okay.
She was working in the bank, and she saw every day how much I loved getting out and going to work and doing my job. And she loved aspects of the bank, but then dealing with money and customers sometimes would be a strain, and we're like, well, what can you do that you're going to love as much as I do? And getting in the lifeguard service.
Well, welcome to the podcast, the Changing Lives podcast. Luke and Sybilla, it's so good to have you on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, guys. It's really great to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we caught up just a couple of weeks ago, and it was great. We were out at dinner, and I think I've kind of known you for several years now, friends of my sister and brother-in-law, and it was really really fun to kind of hear a bit about what you've been up to recently, and we kind of were in the process of kind of launching this podcast, and we realised that you guys would be a super couple, great candidates. Each of you on your own could come in and share about what you do, but we thought, why not get you both in and chat all together, and we're really, really glad you were able to make the time to come in today, so thanks so much.
Yep, so we want to get right into the juice of your career journey and your experiences as a Firey. Can I say Firey? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And as a lifesaver, lifeguard. We'll get into the differences of what they are, which I'm really interested to hear about.
Sure.
I do want to start with something though a bit more important.
Yeah.
You won an award, Luke.
Did I?
Yeah, last year. I don't know.
Surely
We've got
this
it
is
from-
the first award that would come to your mind.
Last year.
Yeah.
We've got it from a reliable source
Stitcher.
that you were the Shooters Nightclub Bachelor of the Year.
Yeah.
We have him here, guys. Right here in person. Was this how?
You guys.
No,
This was last year.
No, this is all new to me. I didn't know about
It's up on the fridge, right?
Yeah.
We've got several
My
boxes
sash,
of
still wear
calendars
my
and things
sash.
like that at the back.
That was about 20 years ago. Yeah.
Mr. Shooter.
You know where that came from, didn't you?
Stitcher.
But you guys, that obviously wasn't how you met. You've
Sybilla.
been.
No.
She would have run a mile if she was around back then.
But you guys met
Poolside,
poolside, right?
playing water polo, swimming, hanging out. We had similar interests and started spending time together.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
very, very lucky.
Yeah, really similar interests. We'll get into a bit of that. Fitness junkies,
Yeah.
compensating for junk of another kind.
Yeah.
That from
All
your
the
mouth. That
All
was
the bad food.
yeah.
All the junk food.
We bought out a plate of grapes, but from what
get
we
touched.
know, it didn't get touched. Once the chocolate came out, once
Yep. It's
Yeah.
ice. Bad food.
But I'll put them in a
ice.
bag and squeeze them. Later they might ferment and we'll sip on them
As
tonight
wine.
with some wine.
Yeah. Well, look, we've obviously, just enjoyed getting to know more about your careers, your journey both as first responders. Luke, I remember just as we were talking, you kind of went down the more traditional path, leaving school, going to uni. But then there was kind of like a turning point for you. Can you kind of share a bit of the backstory there on what that was?
My mum's a nurse and my dad's a lawyer. And both my sisters had scholarships to Bond to do law. And I just thought that's something I should do, go to uni. I thought that's what people did. So I was doing health science at uni and I really didn't like it. I didn't enjoy school. I didn't like studying and learning and doing computer stuff. And in my second year, my parents said, "What are you doing this for? You really don't seem to like it." And I really wasn't that good at it. So you seem to really love the lifeguarding. And I was doing that in the holidays of the university holidays. And I thought I was doing it for them. I thought that's what I should do. They said, do what you love. You try that for a while. And it makes such sense because you spend so much time working. It's the best hours of your day, the middle of the day normally, and the best years of your life. It's so much of your time, you may as well do something that you don't hate. So I started lifeguarding and now 24 years later I'm still doing it. Yeah.
Wow, man, to have parents that would kind of push you to do what you're passionate about and what you love. I mean, that must have been a
I'm
gift.
so grateful that they opened my eyes to doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's how Sybilla ended up getting into the fire service.
Okay.
She was working in the bank and she saw every day how much I loved getting out and going to work and doing my job. And she loved aspects of the bank, but then dealing with money and customers sometimes it would be a strain, and we're like, well, what can you do that you're going to love as much as I do? And getting into the lifeguard service is pretty difficult. A lot of people want that job, as with the fire service, but it was more realistic to get a firefighting job. So she applied, and 2 years later she got on, and now 6 years later she's still working as a firefighter.
Wow. Well, tell us more about that. I was
Yeah.
going to say, tell us more about what that was like.
Yeah, it was sort of, I suppose I didn't. It wasn't, like a lot of people dream about being a firefighter when they're a kid and then it comes to fruition later in life. But for me, I didn't even know it was an option, to be honest, because I was female. I didn't really think that there were female firefighters out there. And anyway, and I looked at, like Luke said, I had a banking background and finance background, and I did love it, and probably the best part about it was helping people. So I looked at the different emergency services, and they all had interesting aspects, but to me the one was firefighting really sort of appeased my sort of what I wanted to get out of my working career, to have that sort of best life scenario with the balance of working as well as family life and what have you. And a lot of Luke's friends have asked him to come over to the fire service because a lot of lifeguards do become firefighters and vice versa.
Right. Okay.
They interact. And so it was, we were sitting around at Nobby Surf Club one day having a couple of drinks and they were sort of hassling him again, going, come to the fire service, and he loves his job as a lifeguard. So he was like, well, there's no need for me to do that. And then I sort of put my hand up. I said, what if I gave it a go? And they were really supportive. So they sort of said, you'd be great, give it a go. And they really sort of helped me about what the role was and what have you. And like Luke said, a lot of the inspiration came from him loving his job so much and loving that, helping people and what have you. And so, I've got into it, and it's hard to get into, but I was really thankful that I got the gig. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And that was when you guys were together, obviously, and you were witnessing his fulfillment.
Exactly.
In what he did, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, I'd come home and Sybilla would say, how's your day? And I go, it was unreal. The weather was perfect. I got to see dolphins and whales. I had a swim in my lunch break. Chatted to all these people who loved being at the beach, and it was a real positive environment. It was a great day. How was your day? This person did this and this. And I was like, You spend so much time there. It's just a bonus if you're getting paid to do something that you love.
Yeah.
Can't always happen, but if you can get the both, it's like, that's a dream.
Like that saying, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
Well, that's kind of thing. And I call Luke the mayor of Breaker Street because he's always, he's always shaking hands and kissing babies because he knows everyone in the community there. He's got people that will ring him on a daily basis going, what's the weather like? Is it worth coming down from Brisbane for it? And there's actually people in that live in his street that will not go down to the beach unless Luke's there. And Luke will, he'll stand on the water's edge with them. He'll help them out he'll have a rescue tube just ready to go. And these are usually sort of older people in the community that are just really loyal to him because he's sort of loyal to them. And that's why when he's been given the opportunity to go elsewhere, he can't help it, but he stays there.
I fly an Australian flag at my beach every day on a pole. So people down the street can tell, Luke's there, that's cool. Mm-hmm. We know we can leave our keys with him while we go for a walk or put our surfboard in his tower while we go for a coffee or something. And it's like, I've been in the one place for 14 years and it's just the familiarity is what people love. We went to a coffee shop on the way here and the girl remembered, I have 2 sugars in my long black. And it's kind of touching that someone remembers an aspect of you and it makes you want to come back. And it doesn't take much to do that, but you go, cool, that person remembered me, they appreciate me. And I'm not taking money for people to come for a swim, but if I can give them a good service, they want to come back and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Back to what you said, Sybilla, you've both chosen careers that feature in family selfies on a regular basis. Is that a particular consideration?
All the time. We're both the front line, as a lifeguard with the front line of the City of Gold Coast tourism. People come to the beach, they want a photo. The Fireys drive to schools and do community education and taking photos is a part of our job. So we're not scared of it, we just embrace it and we enjoy it. And it's touching that we're just wearing our normal uniform that we wear, and to us this is just every day, but to someone from Melbourne or Sydney or China or somewhere overseas, oh my gosh, an Australian firefighter or a Gold Coast lifeguard, it's something different that they don't see every day. So something that you take for granted to someone else might be like, oh, cool.
Yeah, immense level of pride when you get ready for work, I bet. When you...
Yeah. It is. You puff your chest out a little bit more when you wear that uniform because you do have this overwhelming sense of community and serving the community and you want to do a good job. So you sort of make sure, like we were talking earlier about training and things like that, you're always prepared for that role because it is important. So
yeah.
I was going to say, we're talking about preparation for the role. I mean, both first responders, both frontline, but I'm sure there's different paths and journeys to actually get to where you get. It'd be good to kind of hear the bit of the differences and how you got into, again, maybe alluding to the difference between a lifeguard, a professional lifeguard, and a lifesaver. And maybe too, Sybilla, you could also shed light on what it took, the steps you had to take to get into the fire service?
So into the fire service, there's a series of tests that you have to do. So there's it's changing every year, the recruitment basis of trying to get that perfect firefighter. But there's always a physical aspect, a fitness aspect, numerical reasoning, mechanical reasoning, verbal reasoning. Because it is a job where it's not consistent. Every job you turn up to is different. You're never going to have the same job again, So you've got to have that problem-solving skills and what have you to approach every scenario and have not only the training to do that, but the skill set to do that. So being physically fit, being, I suppose, empathetic, all those sort of facets that you have to have as someone who's employed to handle any emergency situation. So it's a different psyche, I suppose, and they've got to do that recruitment process. So it's quite involved, and I suppose that's why a lot of people, it is quite hard to get into, but it's worth it once you're in. So yeah.
Right. Was there any particular parts of the process that were more challenging for you than others, or?
I suppose it was the coming from a sporting background and being tall and quite a strong girl. I sort of probably went in there probably a little bit overconfident. I sort of was thinking, I've got this or whatever else. But it's another level, because at the end of the day, you do have to be prepared. And so I suppose for me that was something where I just realised, okay, you've got to find another level of strength to be able to do this job. But the other facets are sort of, for me, you can study for them, but it's kind of like the characteristics test and the psych test. It's kind of just you either are or you aren't, and they just have that ability to basically find out who's going to be good for the role and who isn't, and you can't really study for it. It's kind of just you're either it or you're not. But in saying that, I think that sense of empathy, I think that sense of wanting to help people always comes through in your testing in some way, shape or form. So, yeah.
I definitely think you're a better fit in a fiery suit than behind the bank.
It's interesting. A lot of people, when I say I used to have a finance background, they're like, that just doesn't make sense for you. Like, why were you doing it? And like Luke said, I did actually really enjoy it, but I just thought there had to be something better. And like I said, to create that best life, and I think this is it.
But also, people say, what are you doing? You're like, I'm a firefighter. They're like, you're a tall, blonde, beautiful lady.
Yeah.
You like to get dirty. Okay, you're right.
That's awesome. Do the job.
Yeah.
For me, to answer that question, I was born in Canberra. I was there till I was 12. My mum was a swim teacher, and I did a lot of swimming. Then when we moved to the Gold Coast, the whole family moved up when I was 12. I knew nothing about the ocean or surfing or lifeguarding or anything. So I joined the Nippers, and I taught myself how to surf, and I stayed with Nippers until I was, for 2 years, till I was 14. Then I joined the senior club, and I started doing volunteer patrols with the surf club. Then when I turned 18, I did the lifeguard test with the council lifeguard service and started lifeguarding there. You have to have a fair few awards of your bronze medallion, your advanced first aid, defibrillator, then jet ski work helps. But from my beginnings of being a Canberra boy, never going to the ocean, I'd become an expert in the water, in the ocean. Big surf, small surf, rip currents. There's a million things that happen. Like Sybilla said, never the same day is the same, never the same job's the same. And a lot of people are asking us for information, weather information, surf and swells. And, if it's a northerly, northeasterly wind, you're probably going to get blue bottles. This time of year, between May and October, we're going to get whales. Late afternoon, there's a chance that we're going to have a dumpy shore break if it's a high tide. There's just all things that you've got to know. And so I've enjoyed learning all these things about the beach and the ocean. And the more you learn, the better you are at your job. So it was a steep learning curve to start with, but I'm now confident. I'll still learn a lot more, but I'm confident with my job that I know most of the things that I'm going to face.
Yeah, I mean, I remember as we were chatting earlier, you kind of alluded to the fact that in your day-to-day work, no day's the same, but a lot of your work is done before the emergency or the rescue or the crisis actually happens. I mean, you've honed your ability to understand survey, like you're saying, the ocean and all circumstances. And I think that's a key characteristic of, you've got to probably have that, right, to be able to do your role.
Definitely.
I was going to say, Luke's very good at profiling even. You know, like he knows that person, he watches everyone that's coming down to his beach, and there's a good idea of, okay, well, that fellow looks fairly fit, looks fairly tanned, he probably might be all right. Then another tourist who doesn't look like, they looked a little bit overwhelmed with when they walked down the beach and saw how big the surf was and things like that. So a lot of his job is picking long before it happens what's necessarily how it's going to play out. It doesn't always play out that way, obviously, but he's very, very good at that.
Yeah, as similar as our jobs both are, as helping people and responding, Sybilla's waiting for an incident to happen, and they're responding, maybe not the first person on the scene, but I'm on the scene, so I'm the one spotting for it. So people say, oh, you just wait for a hand to go up and then you go out and rescue them. By then you've probably only got 10 seconds until lights out. So, as Sybilla said, someone turns up and they're wearing shoes down the beach, or they're as white as anything and covered in sun cream, and they don't come to the beach very often, or they are overweight or overwhelmed, or so you need to spot that, so that if a rip forms and they get in it, you've got to already be on your way out to save them, not waiting for the hand to go up and then responding, because still you've got to get your rescue board, you've got to call for backup, you've got to make your way out to them. So sometimes you're rescuing people before they even realise they're in trouble. And that's identifying the environment and the people that you're dealing with. It's pretty interesting.
So I'm not a very observant person at the best of times, and my wife will testify to that. How about you? Was that something that you learned? Is that a skill that you learn, or were you kind of an observant person from the start?
I think it's hard to tell. I wasn't aware of what I did beforehand, but I definitely am now. And unfortunately, we'll be sitting at a coffee shop or something, and we'll be talking, and I'll just be surveying everything like I'm on patrol. I'm watching for this and that, and I think out of the two of us, I'm more observant.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
Pete just drove past, or someone just ordered another coffee or something, because I can't switch it off. And when we go to the beach, when I'm not at work, sometimes it's hard to switch off because you're still profiling, watching people and seeing what happens. And I still get a kick out of guessing when a family comes down or someone comes down. I'm like, I bet you that person sets up and sits exactly where they sat yesterday, because I remember them from yesterday. And they walk around the beach and they sit in that same spot, and you're like, oh, I knew that would happen. Or
creatures of habit.
Yeah, or that person's got a really terrible old surfboard. I bet their leg wrap's going to snap and they're going to have to swim in on the first wave and they get dumped. And chances are it's going to happen. And you're like, I kind of knew that would happen.
Yeah.
So it gives you a real leg up. When you spot something before it happens, you can already get a jump on it.
I mean, goodness, it just makes me honestly feel a sense of like even greater safety when I go to the beach, knowing that there's people like yourselves that aren't, you alluded it to. There's obviously those that are lifesavers that volunteer their time, maybe do it on a weekend basis, but what they might put in I think you mentioned earlier, what they might put in like a year is probably what you've put in 1 or 2 weeks in terms of time on there. So the importance of having...
Yeah. And you don't realise until you're talking about it, like in this situation, the life skills that you get week after week, month, year, and you just know so much about what's happening at the beach, and all those skills are helping you to do a better job. And it really is important.
It's like that time served. There's a whole reason why nearly in every job you that experience comes through, and that's why people who have been in that job longer are well respected more, because they've put in the time. You know, like they say, you know, was it 10,000 hours of anything and you're a master? And I mean, he's 25 years, 26 years? 24 years of service. That's all year round, in all weathers, in all conditions, where he's been there and been able to interpret every scenario and how it's happening and things like that. So it's I'm really proud of him for doing it. You know, so yeah.
There's not that mental game though, is it? It's the physical as well.
Definitely.
And you guys are you're aficionados at the physical stuff we've been learning. That's a big part of your role and both of your roles.
Definitely.
So tell us a bit about how you prepare physically and your maybe obsession with you.
Well, I think, again, you've got to love it and you've got to be motivated. At 5 o'clock in the morning in winter, no one really wants to roll out of bed and go to the pool and swim 4 kilometres. Like, let's be honest, you prefer to stay in bed. But you need to be doing that now for your fitness tests in a month's time, for the fitness you need in the summer holidays, for the strength that Sybilla needs. You know, she's got a sore shoulder at the moment. She's still in the gym staying strong. You could easily go, I don't really feel like it today, but they're the things that you don't have an option. You have to do it. It has to be your life. And if it's not a part of your life, maybe it's the wrong career, because our bodies are as much a tool at work as all our other equipment. So for me, I need to be able to swim and run and paddle and have good eyesight and spot things. Sybilla needs her strength and her knowledge to, as well as a lot of other things, to do the job efficiently. So it's lucky that we chose careers that we love. We already love doing exercise, but it's important that we do it. So, you know, we do it because we love it, but it justifies what we need to do in our job. And yeah, we'll have a swim and a paddle on our days off, and it's because we both love it. It's good time together.
It's exactly what he said. Like in the fire service, it needs to be quite diverse because of all the different jobs that we do face. So one of my strengths is because I'm tall, and one of my strengths might be because I'm quite fit and, you know, run all day and all that sort of stuff. But then also too, you know, I've got a girl in my crew at the moment who's tiny little pocket, but I need her to go inside a car or something like that into confined space, so that she's that's her strength, you know, same as someone who's, so it's for us, we work to our strengths from the point of view of, you know, a fun day for us is going swimming and running and going to the gym, and we really enjoy that. But you know, it's sort of also too, our training is that, you know, we constantly are always looking at first aid. Obviously, that's a very strong part of our role. We're always brushing up on those skills, always rehashing it, always making sure that, we know exactly what's required to use the tools that we have. It's such as, you know, your first aid kit and whatever else, but also our personal skills of being physically fit to be able to do it.
These guys did a triathlon on the day.
Right. For fun.
Apparently. For fun, spontaneous. Why not? The other day, right?
Yeah, so that was a fun day for us, is exercising. But we do it for our jobs, but we do it too because we like bad food. So,
Justify eating badly.
Yeah.
So what happened on that day?
We live at Miami. We rode down to Burleigh and then left our bikes there and then swam back to Miami, and it's 3.2 kilometre swim, so 3.2k ride.
In the surf.
Right? Swim, 3.2k. We stopped at each tower, so it was probably only 600 metres each time, but we were actually in the water for about 45 minutes.
Yeah. I was slow that time.
We swam together. And then we put our shoes on and then ran back to Burleigh and got our bikes and rode back. So it was a couple of hours total, but
managed to squeeze lunch in there in the process too, right?
Some
healthy burritos.
Burritos and hot chips.
If you counted the calories that we took in.
We're hoping it's a deficit, but we're not really sure.
Maybe it was neutral.
Yeah.
Now, you said you swam slow, but that's because, well, you've kind of...
A bit sore at the moment, yeah.
A bit sore, but you've kind of had some achievements. Like, was it Pan Pacs Games? And
Yes. So a couple of years ago, we did the Pan Pacific Masters Championships, and we were part of a relay side that actually broke a record. So we're very, very proud of that.
Mixed relay, 2 guys and 2 girls, and so it was cool that we got to swim together.
Yep.
Wow.
But yeah, I've got a swimming background. And it's always this little tussle between the two of us of who's swimming faster at the time. So he's definitely swimming faster than me at the moment, but I'll hopefully crawl back and get him back.
Technically, she's a much better swimmer. She's got a much more efficient stroke. In a pool, she's streets ahead of me. But in the surf, I'm a little bulldog. I'm a muscly, gritty, water polo, aggressive swimmer, and I can normally just muscle my way through. So efficient-wise, Sybilla's way better. But
I'm sure she doesn't want to hurt your ego too, maybe. You've got quite a good reputation,
she's
right?
a great wife. She's a great wife. But in the challenge...
you rise to the challenge.
He's a little bulldog.
Every 6 months, right? You've got to...
So, yeah, my job, we have a fitness test every 6 months.
Yeah.
It's an 800-metre swim, then a 1.6-kilometre run, and 800-metre paddle, and you have 26 minutes to do that. So it's not an option. We just have to pass that to show that we're fit every 6 months. Good thing is when you turn 50, you get an extra minute that you can do it, and then when you turn 60, you get an extra minute there. So in a few years, I'll have an extra minute. But at the moment, because I'm training a lot, still doing it pretty well.
Yeah.
But it's just a requirement of the job.
Yeah.
So,
but, I mean, obviously, it's like why the motivation to obviously be at your best, right? It's not just to pass and
You just don't want to let anyone down.
wow.
It's really important to us to not let anyone down. We've signed up for this role to serve the community, and we want to make sure that we're, in our best way to be able to do our job. So, it's sleeping, it's exercising, it's good health. Like, we love bad food, but it's not all the time.
turning up to your job at 100%.
Prepared. You're prepared in every facet to make sure that when you go to any incident or any scenario, we're well equipped to make sure that we do the best for that person. Or animal, depending on what it is. Sometimes.
We're realistic that not every outcome will be a great outcome. In both of our jobs, there's realisation that we'll have bad days and bad things will happen to patients. But if you can go in and do everything that you're meant to do, use the training that you've had, and know that, you put in 100%, you did everything you could, you can at least be at peace that you gave the person the best chance of safety or recovery as you can.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great payoff all round, really, if you're in a great bill of health and you're fit. It's a good lifestyle.
Exactly.
You're probably less likely to be unwell, but it's, you're actually, everyone's benefiting. Public's benefiting from that. So, and I admire that you've identified that, because I'm guessing that there would be people in your role and in a similar situation that probably don't have that drive so much. So I acknowledge you guys and thank you on behalf of the community. I guess is that sense of personal responsibility to, hey, this is the best I can do, and I'm going to make sure I'm at that level as much as I can.
Yeah, definitely.
And anyone thinking about what we do, if you like helping people, you like a fit and healthy lifestyle, maybe these or similar jobs are the kind of things that you should be looking for. It's not for everyone, and both of our jobs, it's something bad's happening that way. Well, that's the way we've got to run. Normally, people's reaction is to stand back or freeze or just get away from a problem, but both of us have got to head towards it. So it's the training that kicks in when you're in an emergency situation. But if you think that you enjoy that excitement and helping people, then these are the kind of jobs that are kind of exciting to do. Yeah. We joke that we're a good couple to go on holiday with. Because if something was to happen,
we should be able to handle
gonna
most
help.
scenarios.
Absolutely.
If we're on a boat, we
Absolutely.
could swim out of trouble or a fire or something.
Absolutely.
We could deal with it.